So what happens is that when you consume alcohol, you're basically poisoning your body, your immunity goes down, and this actually is linked to lowering your energetic field, your aura, right? Lowering your defenses in a way. Some people claim that alcohol consumption actually creates holes in aura, in your energetic field. And this now allows for different entities to attach and start feeding off your energy or manipulating you, things like that. Okay, this is Mike Sigula from TruthTheory.com, and welcome to another episode of True Spirituality. This is my series on metaphysics, esotericism, mysticism, and spirituality. And if you're new here, please subscribe, because this is already episode 36. So if you are completely new here, have a look at previous episodes. If you go to youtube.com/TruthTheory, there is a playlist there called True Spirituality, where you can watch most of the episodes. And we are covering all sorts of fascinating topics. Anything from consciousness, Hermetic philosophy, tarot cards, meditation, densities, law of one, Hermetic philosophy, law of attraction, karma, past lives, reincarnation. Many fascinating topics in different fields. I've been studying this stuff for 20 years, so I'm sharing some of the things I've learned so far with you guys in this series. And if you want to support this project and you're enjoying these videos, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/TruthTheory, you can become a supporter, you can get access to exclusive content, you can send me messages, I can create some exclusive videos sometimes for you guys as well. So have a look what's going on Patreon. And if you want to work with me, I'm doing mentoring and coaching at truththeory.com/coaching. So have a look. And now let's talk about today's topic. So what are the actual real consequences of alcohol consumption? What are the spiritual consequences and what's really happening? So today I'm going to share something very important with you, and this is not just theory. And a lot of this stuff is documented through different experiences, which I will talk about today as well. So it's not just talk, we're actually talking about real case studies here. So what happens is that when you consume alcohol, you're basically poisoning your body, your immunity goes down, and this actually is linked to lowering your energetic field, your aura, right? Lowering your defenses in a way. Some people claim that alcohol consumption actually creates holes in aura, in your energetic field. And this now allows for different entities to attach and start feeding off your energy or manipulating you, things like that. So generally, low vibrational entities feed off people who have low vibrations. So for example, if you have high vibrations, like your levels of prana are high, you are happy, you are energized, you have high vitality, you meditate, you do these kind of things, it's much harder for an entity to attach and use you or feed off you, because it repels them. It's like garlic for a vampire. The higher vibration, you attract the good guys. The lower vibration, you attract the guys on the bottom, let's say. So all these negative emotions kind of attract negative entities. But specifically with alcohol, when you consume alcohol, you're lowering your vibration, create these holes in aura, and now different types of entities can kind of clinch and attach to you. So in a way, it's like a temporary possession, let's say. So, think about it this way. As above, so below. everything is dualistic, everything is fractal. If you have an imbalance in your body, what happens? Different bacteria starts feeding of you, you start having illness, you start having some kind of physical health problems, things like that, right? But the same happens on the higher levels, right? So these imbalances, like alcohol consumption, which is lowering your vibration, now attracts these parasitical entities. Same like we've been talking about bacteria that can feed off you. You can have these entities that can feed off you and use you. So why do they do it? I mean, first of all, because it's kind of like a fuel, right? Like energy. They often feed off emotional states, or they kind of, you bring some emotion, some desires, some things that they want to feed from, right? And they kind of try to use it. Okay, so what's the evidence? What's the evidence for anything like that? Because to many people it might sound like a bizarre claim, right? You know, science will tell you that, for example, alcohol addiction or any kind of addiction is to do with chemical imbalance. Or, you know, science will tell you that, for example, if you have cravings or addiction problems and things like that, this has to do with chemical imbalance. Each time you use the substance, it releases dopamine and similar hormones, and you kind of crave this feeling, and you keep repeating this behavior, and it creates neural pathways that are now easier to get you to the same kind of result. This is true, but to extent. This is what we can observe as a side effect, as a kind of one layer to the story. And the actual other mechanisms beyond that, below that level, work very differently. So let me give you some examples. So for example, you know, I know someone who had massive drinking problem for many years, not only alcohol but also other drugs. And another person that I know who is very psychic, she can kind of see the entities, her senses are extended beyond the physical senses, beyond the senses of most of the people, so she can see entities. So one time what happened, we found this person on the floor, and this person actually overdosed, right? It was a drug overdose, but entities attached to alcohol, regular drugs as well. So what happened, she said, the psychic, right? She said she saw two shadows kind of jumping and feeding off this person, right? So we found the person who overdosed on the floor, and the psychic, who basically has senses developed beyond like the visible light that most people have, right? She can see a little bit more. She saw these two shadows jumping and feeding off this person, right? So this is like one example. This is actually someone, I'm talking about people very close to me, so I know these people. Let me give you another example of the same person, right? So this person, like I said, I know this person for a long time, somewhere close to me, had big problems with addictions. And one time he went to cardiologist for some checkups, right? And completely random situation, right? Cardiologist started having a conversation, deeper conversation with this person. And, you know, this guy, he shared about his problems with addiction, right? So what happened was that this cardiologist literally talked to him for like 1 hour or something, even though there was a massive queue of people waiting to see the doctor, right? This person, this cardiologist, decided to help this person I'm talking about, literally stopped the service for almost 1 hour to try to explain a couple of things to the person, the addicted person I'm talking about. And he said to, the cardiologist said to this person I'm talking about, that you gotta see an exorcist, a priest who is dealing with these kind of things. And he was like, you know, he doesn't believe in anything like that, but he decided to listen to her and decided to go and meet the priest, right? So we're talking about someone who had a serious addiction problem. This is not just like casual drinking. This is like 10 years of addiction, right? So very different. So he went to the priest, and the priest basically started praying to Archangel Michael, who is known for like these kind of things, you know, protection, things like that. And the addict, he said, when the priest started praying and touched his forehead or his head, he felt like his brain was boiling, like something was like really going on there. So he was in shock because, first of all, he never believed in anything like that, right? And it seems like out of nowhere, these circumstances are happening that get him to this situation, right? So he had this very weird, very esoteric experience. And this is what I'm talking about. This is one of many examples I've seen like that, where in a way you become like a vessel for entities that want to feed off the emotional states that you bring them. So if you just drink once in a while, this is probably going to happen on a minimal level, right? But someone who is having a big problem, it's a form of possession in a way. It's obviously the possession, we're thinking about stuff from the movies. That's like a very, very, very heavy, very advanced level of possession. This is a little bit different. This type of possession is like a low level possession, let's say. It depends on the state, right? So what happens is that once the entities start using you to bring them what they like, these emotional states, you know, that you get, they don't want to let go, you know. You're like someone who brings them food, right? So they want to kind of like send you these thoughts, these ideas to like get a little bit of drink again, stuff like that. So this is an example. Let me share with you another story. So one guy who I know who is like into shamanism and things like that, he said he went to some party or concert or something like that and took some MDMA, came back, was having some after party or something like that, and he saw this kind of like a ball of black kind of light or something like that, like this black orb kind of getting inside of him, right, after MDMA trip. And it's really like, you know, he started going crazy that night because he really saw this thing like flying, getting inside of him and things like that. People thought he's going crazy a little bit, some of his friends who were with him. But this kind of story, this is something I've heard from other people, especially you go out clubbing, you come back, if someone is a little bit more sensitive, if someone has senses developed a little bit further, sometimes they can see this stuff, you know? Because what happens is that we operate at different frequency levels. So, you know, a lot of these entities kind of are beyond third density level, and they kind of use you to get these emotional states, because emotions are a form of energy and form of food. So this is what's really happening when you start using alcohol. And now obviously it depends on individual cases, depends on your vitality level. Some people might be fine, they're just gonna have a little bit of a drink once in a while, everything's fine. But other people, you know, start being easier to manipulate. And that's what happens. So it's up to you if you want to become a vessel for low vibrational entities. This is something I've been getting a lot during my plant medicine sessions over the years, was to give up alcohol completely. And honestly, that's what I've done. Like almost like zero alcohol over a 2-year period now. In the first couple of months I had a little bit of alcohol, but last year and a half like zero. So it just feels amazing. Really, like no headaches, no hangovers. A lot of these, like, you know, thoughts that you get when you're drinking, like urges for whatever, sex, pornography, things like that. This is entity trying to use you again. Once you're in that state, you become vulnerable, you become easier to manipulate. So hope this makes sense. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments, and if it resonates, please share it with others as well. And thank you for checking this episode of True Spirituality. Until next time.